So you notice that there's a gap in the market. Now, is there a market in the gap though? As an entrepreneur, right? That's what we're here to do. Solve a problem, find where there are gaps in the market. But we have to figure out, is there truly a market in the gap? Because if we're not careful, that's where we can definitely run into some problems. So this episode is all about creating your business M.A.P. Welcome back. Welcome to the Gen Ed Show. This is the place where we teach you how to trust yourself and succeed in the modern age. My name is Eduardo de las Cuevas, your host. And so you have some context. I'm a college dropout turned serial entrepreneur running multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. So I want to hopefully teach you the things that you may not even know that you don't even know. So welcome and welcome back to the Gen Ed Show. On this episode, we're going to be talking about niching and branding, more specifically to the point of entrepreneurship when it comes to solving a problem in the market, and with that, creating your business M.A.P, your business map. So first thing, I just want to talk about the point of entrepreneurship. We as entrepreneurs are here to solve a problem, and we tend to like to do this somewhat on our own, but more specifically without some sort of authority looking over our neck or shoulders, right? Because we feel confident that we're not dumb. You give us the time and the resources, we'll go ahead and figure this out. But at the same time, being an entrepreneur means that we're not given the resources and we kind of have to find the time ourselves. That's kind of a big point here, right? So now when we're doing our due diligence and we want to do our research, we're looking at business opportunities. We're looking at trends, we're looking at the market, we're looking at society, we're figuring out how are we feeling right now? Right? Because oftentimes the best problem that you can solve is a problem that you probably have. The good news is that with that, none of us are really unique. You know, there's about 7-8 billion people in the world. I think about 8. And so if there's about 8 billion people in the world, that means that, you know, if you're 1 in a billion, there's about 7 more of you. Or if you're 1 in a million, there's at least 7,000 more of you. People that share your exact beliefs, your exact thoughts on solving this type of idea. And so this is the same way. If you ever feel like that idea, that gap that you notice in the market, or that market you may see in that gap, it's not dumb, because I guarantee you probably 7,000 other people see it too and probably want to solve it. Because if you've ever sat there and thought, oh, I should have thought of that sooner. Oh my goodness, I thought about something like that. I should have done something with it. Yeah, because you weren't the only one that ever thought of it, and you're not going to ever be the only person that ever thinks of anything. The point of being an entrepreneur is that you're the one that decided to actually do something about it, that decided to find the time and pull together the resources to actually solve the problem for yourself. And of course, because of this, you're going to profit solving it for so many other people. This is the point. And this will bring us into moving from the first point, entrepreneurship, the second point of this episode, the law of supply and demand. Now, this is going to be a gross oversimplification because this is really just the basis of Econ 101. This obviously doesn't fully touch on, the depth to economic philosophy, but we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it real. Law of supply and demand. We can understand that in every type of market, there is a demand for something, and because of this demand, there is a respective supply. Now, I want to then with this talk about capitalism as a good way to put it. Now, capitalism, the idea is free markets. The idea is a very laissez-faire economic style, a little bit more anarchical, because there's little to no government, little to no regulation. The idea is that there's the invisible hand moving through, and with that causing a very big influence on how people want to act. And so I always love this when it comes to the question of ethics, especially when it comes to capitalism and then like, oh, what about price gouging and such? So I'll use America as an example. A lot of people like to believe that America is a truly or capitalistic society. I don't think it's a truly capitalistic society. I think that it is probably the most capitalistically bent because it does at its core carry freedom. But with this, I mean, think about it. How many power companies do you have in your state? How many choices do you get when it comes to where you get your power from? I grew up in Florida. It was FPL, Florida Power, or Duke Energy when I lived on the west coast of Florida. And then now living in Georgia, I think we've got 2 power companies. But what I'm curious about is, why is it not easier for more types of companies to come into the market? I wonder how people are going to be able to fight against Apple. I wonder how other companies are going to be able to really stand out and be able to compete when there's so many regulations that have now been sprung up around Amazon, around certain types of business practices that make it really tough for any medium to small cap, but very easy for large cap businesses. And so with this, I don't fully believe that America is a capitalistic society. I believe we have a lot of a capitalistic bend, but there is so much hamstringing of the economy, of just from the government, and especially from bad actors, different types of companies that are willing to hamstring the available supply to keep demand as high as possible. And so this is a very interesting thing to see, but ultimately we're trying to keep things simple. So law of supply and demand. If you're an entrepreneur, we need to look at the market, see where do people demand a lot of a product or a service, and then where is there a lacking supply. Now let's look for, is this lack in supply a government regulation? Is this a competitive, massive barrier of entry? If so, what is the barrier of entry? For example, if you want to get into trucking, your first year, you're probably going to need to have at least 80 to 100 grand just capital, whether that be from income, discretionary extra income that you have outside of your normal earnings, or if that being that you have 80 to 100 grand on the side, and so, or you're getting loans, you're getting investments, right? However it is that you generate this money, you get this capital from yourself or from others. So this is very important when it comes to, can I succeed in this market, and can I solve a problem, and is there a problem, and will I be able to provide enough of a solution to fill that gap? Because ideally you can, but with that, it's very important that you're either first or that you be better, right? Be first or be better. Because without that, it's going to be a lot tougher down the line. And that's ultimately what we're trying to solve, right? This is what starts to make you unique. You're either first or you're better. So what's the competition like? How do you solve that demand? Can you come in and fill that supply? And is there enough of a supply that it makes sense that you will feel well compensated for the stress and the headache of putting up your money, your risk, your name, your credit, whatever the case? Is this making sense? I hope so. But law of supply and demand, keep it very simple. Again, it's a gross oversimplification, but this is what entrepreneurs, we are here to do. Create more supply where there is a lack or a surplus in demand. Okay. And so from there, the last thing that I want to go ahead and move us into is creating your business M.A.P. You're creating your business map. Okay. How are we going to get through this? And so you can write this down into your notes, M.A.P. First one being your model, okay? This is going to be, how are we trying to actually solve this problem, right? What strategic actions, what tactics will we employ to get to this result, okay? We want to solve this problem in the market. We want to be able to give, make sure that 10,000 more humans have sandals on their feet. We want to make sure that 10,000 more entrepreneurs are able to run a successful business. We want to make sure that 10,000 more people are, whatever number, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, multiply that by your unit price and how much are you actually trying to earn. And from there, how are you going to deliver this to people, right? Start to reverse engineer how this person gets their product and what they did to have to get this product and what you had to do to fulfill this product. You get the idea. So A being the aesthetic. What's going to be your color scheme? Easy place that you can find a good color scheme and you can just play around with is at coolors.io, right? So like colors, but instead of colors, there's COOLORS.io. Really useful tool, really useful website resource that you could go ahead and go to so you can start messing around with color schemes. Similarly with that, there's going to be a lot of different colors that you can employ, but you want to go ahead and keep this as simple as possible. Try to keep it no more than 3 colors, maybe 5, but really try to keep it to 3 is what I encourage you. Don't be afraid of white. Don't be afraid of black, in the sense of leaving that to have a lot more space around your logo. What I mean is using the negative space in aesthetics. White background, black background. Don't be afraid of negative space. If you go ahead and you look at Apple, they do this very well using negative space, empty blank space, to create modernity or elegance, right? Luxury feeling. Whereas if you try and crowd a lot of your aesthetic with a lot of colors, a lot of logos, it can start to feel like a lot. And it may make people subconsciously question your either trustworthiness or your consistency or your relevance to your brand if you're just doing a bunch of random stuff, right? So let's be decisive about it, your aesthetic. And the last one being P, right? The last to the MAP, M-A-P, and that being your purpose, okay? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Can you write it down? For example, with our trucking industry, with our trucking business, we want to solve the supply chain crisis. We want to be able to solve this. And so with that, what is your message? Okay, 8 words or less, command statement, phrase that, clear. Be clear, right? It doesn't need to be anything else. Be clear. What's your message, right? Now you have this problem. What's going to make you unique? Okay, what's your specialty? How do you stand out in this? And then from there, your solution. What is going to be your message plus what makes you special? What makes you unique? Your message plus your specialty. And that is going to lead to a lot of the purpose that you have. And of course, you can start putting more behind this. And of course, you can start to become a lot more granular with this if you truly desire. But we want to keep things simple for this episode. And that being, when it comes to creating your map, your business map, we must get very clear on your model. We must be very clear on your aesthetic. And we must be very clear on your purpose. Especially with your purpose, this is why you are going to be motivated to work very hard and be committed to work consistently for the long run. And your purpose is also going to be a lot of why your clients decide to tie into you and tie into your business. This is also going to be a lot of the reasons why your employees become very loyal and stick around longer. So this episode is all about helping you niche and create your brand so that you can figure out as an entrepreneur what problem you are truly trying to solve, right? Because we can notice that there might be a gap in the market. Now, is there a market in the gap? And if so, let's create our business map, our model, our aesthetic, and our purpose. We love that you were here to join us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, as we start to leave you today, if you had any takeaways from this, please make sure to engage with us on social media, on Instagram, on here in the comments right below. And of course, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and please share this show to all of your friends and family. If you're taking value from this, don't keep it to yourself. Share it to everyone else so they can get value from this as well, to chase their dreams and their businesses all the same. And so with that, I'll leave you as I leave you always. Make sure to always be present, love deeply, and aim higher. This is The Gen Ed Show.